10x your service design offering with Smaply. Take 20% off any order with This Is HCD 20 off. Let's superpower you and your design team's potential. Sign up at smaply.app. Enjoy the episode from your friends at Smaply, helping support This Is HCD podcast.
What does that journey look like? Where are the touch points across all of the businesses that's affecting that 60, 90-day onboarding period to which our merchants experiencing BigCommerce, right? And in doing so, we evaluated, okay, of those touch points, what were the things that were broken and weren't ideal in terms of the setup and the exploration of BC? And that equated to a customer journey map, a service map, if you would, that identified, there's an opportunity here for SBD or professional services to have a bigger role, all the way down to, how many times have we actually contacted the merchant to understand whether they're onboarding well, whether the setup is going on track. And those things really kind of seeded the changes in organization. And that all stems from a customer journey map.
Hello and welcome to This Is HCD. My name is Gerry Scullion and I'm a designer, educator and the host of This Is HCD, based in the wonderful city of Dublin, Ireland. Now our goal here is to have conversations that inspire and help move the dial forward for organisations to become more human-centred in their approach to solving complex business and societal problems. I caught up recently with Royce Wong, co-founder and CEO of InOrbit and global director of product design at BigCommerce. Now, Royce is based out of Sydney, Australia, my old home, and in this conversation we speak about BigCommerce's growth and their strategic direction and differentiation between all the other players in that niche. We speak about balancing of the two titles. He's also, as I said, CEO of InOrbit, his own startup, and that's what he's trying to tackle there is the asynchronous collaboration space. It's a really fascinating space to get into. Royce is truly awesome. I absolutely loved connecting with him, and I know you're going to love this episode. Now, if you like what we're doing at This Is HCD, please help us out by leaving a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. As you know, it only takes a couple of minutes and it really helps the findability for other designers around the world to find us. Or you could go one better by becoming a patron, folks. You can get an ad-free stream of the podcast for as little as €1.66 per month or €20 a year. And you also get a shout out as a thanks for everyone that does that. So, as you know, thisishcd.com has become a repository for human-centered design goodness. We're now over 230 episodes. So if you do like what we're doing, think about becoming a patron. It really helps us out. Let's get into it. Royce Wong, how are you doing? Delighted to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, doing well and glad to be here. Really excited to kind of chat with you and just talk shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been a fan. Eduardo Krantz, who is co-studio lead in Tokyo, put us in touch a number of months ago, and I have to stop myself doing an impression of Eduardo here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that for an entire episode. But he went, "Hey man, you need to speak to Royce," and I said, "Okay." Well, he'd mentioned to me many times over the years about some of the brilliant work that you've been doing in your career, so it's great to finally get some time with you and to chat about it. But for our listeners who don't really know a little bit about you, you're an interesting person because you've got two titles. So that means that you're actually 100% better than everybody else we've ever had on the podcast. So, because you've got two. Most people only have one. So maybe you kick off and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't say 100%, maybe 50%.
Oh yeah, 50%. Shit.
50%.
It's Monday morning here.
Yeah, exactly right. No, thanks for that. I mean, okay, so I have two titles. The first one is global product designer or product director at BigCommerce. Yeah. And my role there is really to head up the product design team to envision products, features, solve the merchant need, right? And the other one is, my startup space. So, as a founder or co-founder of InOrbit, and this is more about collaboration, asynchronous facilitation, that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's a passion project, something for us to really kind of move forward in terms of how we do work in the future.
Nice. Well, which one do you want to talk about first? Because I'm interested in BigCommerce, in what they're doing actually in the whole kind of e-com space. Yeah. And how they see themselves and how they differ between the likes of Shopify, which is obviously one of the big players in that space. So why BigCommerce? Why would someone choose BigCommerce over some of the other e-commerce platforms?
I think one of the key things is that we are leading with the open SaaS strategy, right? And one of the key, like e-commerce and as in terms of the merchant space is very complex. The needs are very different. Workflows are very different. Sources of truth in terms of like, your inventory to your ERP, all of those things are very different from one merchant to the next.
Yeah.
And when you think about, region to region, the need, I think, in my opinion, BigCommerce has a unique proposition better than that of Shopify.
Yeah, but you're going to have to say that, aren't you?
I have to say that. But I mean, from that perspective, I think we integrate well. We have a position where we're talking about, regionally specific, merchant-specific requirements. We're not forcing, unique propositions and feature sets that is solely owned by us. And we integrate with the best of breed. So that's, really kind of formulating a foundation where you get the benefits of all those different businesses that you get access to, right? So I think that's the unique proposition that we have, and I think we are maturing that space, one by which we can differentiate against Shopify.
So with BigCommerce, I know my big brother actually uses BigCommerce in his retail store in Ireland. Like I mentioned to him that I was going to be speaking to somebody from BigCommerce, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, I was explaining that they're an Australian business, correct? I'm right, aren't they? They're from Sydney, I think.
Oh, they're Australian founded, and headquartered in Austin. Yeah,
Austin in Texas. Yeah, okay. So I was right, because I do remember way back in the late 10s that BigCommerce was Sydney based. Is that right? Around that time, yeah. So I'm not going crazy, but I guess I'm interested in the evolution of the product from that time. Can you talk to me a little bit more around that time, where it's come from, where it's at now, and where do you think e-commerce is going to go? Where's the big challenges for BigCommerce in, say, the next 18 months to 2 years?
That would be a difficult question to answer, but I'll try my best. I think the evolution of BigCommerce was, we were very much fragmented in terms of the space and the problems that we were trying to solve for. SMB, complex, low complexity, high complexity, different merchant types, right? From automotive all the way through to digital, that kind of thing. And I think the evolution of our business really started to take hold when Brent Bellin started focusing our efforts around mid-market enterprise and, going in that trajectory. And I think that really, differentiated not only what our offering was going to be, but our entire mentality, the culture and the workspace was really focused on those complex needs. How do we really support that? When you think about all of the opportunities in different regions all the way through to selling internationally, it poses very, very different problem sets that you need to go and approach. So that real kind of focus for the product team and the business as a whole really kind of evolved within those few years. And I think now that we've landed at a position where we feel very confident with, and we have a good trajectory toward, I think that's where we're going to start to make headways and win.
Okay. So what's the team like at BigCommerce? And you're not allowed to say that they're awesome, by the way, but we want to understand I'm sure they are, but we want to understand the makeup of the design team and how design is being used as a strategic lever within the organization.
Yeah, this is really, okay, so this is a timely conversation. One of the key things is, our team is spread across 4 locations: Austin, San Francisco, Kiev, and Sydney.
Yeah.
And our team is still dispersed in that way. And one of the key things that we're trying to do is develop levels of maturity where we inform strategy. And doing that is through, research all the way through to concept testing, getting the conference ethnographic research, getting the on that, and then this continuous pipeline of understanding our merchant bases so that we can compare against the Gartner reports, what's coming in from marketing, to evaluate truly are we solving this particular problem. So our team is structured in that way where we have a researcher, a copywriter, a product designer really thinking about that particular domain area that they're responsible for and projecting forward what can we do to solve that space. In terms of the structure, so what we right now what we are doing is we're investing into functions, which is visual design, copywriting, moving into interface design, service design. All of those things are being invested into, and the underlining or underpinning of that is developing these components and these structures to support all of the strategic investments that we make.
Yeah. So for something like service design versus, say, visual design, there's different, I guess, kind of challenges for each one of those practitioners. So the service designer will be trying to affect ultimately the policy level of design, like, being able to. How is that being challenged within the organization? Because that's a big interest for me as a practitioner of service design. I love those conversations. I love evoking the root cause problems for things to happen. What does that look like for an organization that's just taken the first steps into that strategic service design role for BigCommerce? What's the reporting structure look like there?
So I wouldn't say, I'll discuss the first project that really seeded, the structures of the way that we invested into.
Yeah.
The one things that we were looking at was churn, right? We were facing churn. That's a problem. We need to have retention. So in doing so, we started looking at, okay, what is the trial to paid conversion like? What does that journey look like? Where are the touch points across all of the businesses that's affecting the 60, 90-day onboarding period to which a merchant's experiencing BigCommerce, right? And in doing so, we evaluated, okay, of those touch points, what were the things that were broken and weren't ideal in terms of the setup and the exploration of BC. Sure. And that equated to a customer journey map, a service map, if you would, that identified, there's an opportunity here for SBD or professional services to have a bigger role, all the way down to, how many times have we actually contacted the merchant to understand, whether they're onboarding well, whether the setup is, going on track. And those things really kind of seeded the changes in organization. And that all stems from a customer journey map.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
And then, and that really became the thing that created this hunger for more. Like, how do I understand all the interplay and interconnected experiences between, customer support all the way to sales, business development, all the way through to our product actually fulfilling that value proposition that marketing has kind of put out there. So this created our research team, in terms of the value proposition, in terms of the things that we were meant to produce, all the way through to, the practice itself. How often do we do this, and who's going to be participating? So product managers are very, I guess, attuned to that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. You mentioned there one of the big challenges for the business is the different regions and the different behaviors and the different merchant needs. From a distributed team perspective, how are you managing that with research? Are you hiring local teams or agencies? What does that look like?
We try to hire regionally specific. So we have a researcher in Sydney, one in the US, and one in Ukraine. And those particular individuals have access to those EMEA, APAC kind of merchant types, so that we are able to get a little bit more of an understanding in terms of their challenges. Now, those opportunities really kind of help us understand how the e-commerce operation differ from region to region, and having them present and accessible to those particular merchants made it a lot easier for us to kind of create that intelligence layer for which our PMs and PDs are making decisions day to day. And we've adopted a new tool, Dovetail, if you know of it.
Oh yeah, I know Dovetail. Yeah.
Yeah, so Ben Humphreys and Bradley. So that startup really kind of helped us with the infrastructure for our repository and our insights gathering and our reporting. And that really created that momentum for us, I feel.
Give us an idea of how you're using Dovetail in terms of the distributed research team. And feel free to give it a plug as well. Like, if you want to say it's the most amazing tool ever, like, that's completely fine. Because I've used it and I'm really impressed with it.
No, it's an amazing tool, and kudos to the team that built it, and to the founders Bradley and Ben. I think one of the key things that we've done is we've created stories, right? And each of those particular things actually has tags that allows us to identify the key investment areas that we're making. And any product designer and product manager will be able to click on that tag and understand, actually, here's a real in-depth evaluation of this particular area. And when you're actually making decisions on the fly, trying to understand whether, I'm going to go into this particular region, what are specific differences and nuances that I need to be aware of, the repositories, just spits it out. This is really accessible, and really it helps with the guidance in terms of the decision.
Yeah.
So we use it from that point of view. And one of the key things that aspirationally I'm trying to do is have Dovetail as our intelligence layer across all of BigCommerce, that our product marketers, SBDs, individuals who are, have high access and high touch points to our merchants will be able to create information so that it's accessible across everybody inside the business. What that does, it helps us structure our verticals, our segments a little bit better, and is a better representation of the people that we're solving the problems for. So I think that real maturity in that structure will help us, move
Okay. One of the big things for merchants is the speed to get their money. So there's a small little Irish business. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. They're called Stripe. They're founded by the two Killisson brothers. Anyway, just a joke. But we started using Stripe in my former business. This is doing a number of years ago, and I was just blown away. Literally blown away by the work that they do. And this is not me. I have no affiliation with Stripe or anything, but they really changed the business. Okay, like being able to get it. It was almost like a bank. Okay, it really was like a modern bank, a neobank. How does BigCommerce manage that? Because from a business perspective, it's almost like that experience, that vendor choice that they choose to handle their money will have an indirect sort of a response to how your own product is being received. And that's something that I often look at when you see BigCommerce or Shopify, or there's probably a whole other ones out there as well. But they're the two that I really I look at. They're totally dependent on the speed of the banks. And some of the banks that people are working with are old, okay? So how do you manage that? Like, you can't obviously say, just integrate with Stripe, everyone, because it's going to be a better experience for you, get your money quicker and all that kind of stuff. What are the complexities around that? Do you have any anecdotal evidence or any anecdotal stories that you'd like to share?
I think the difficulty with integrations is you solely depend on the third party, whatever APIs and REST endpoints they're providing, how often they're actually updated, all the way through to the experience that they provide for the merchant who so chooses them, right? But from our side, one of the key things, we work very closely with our partners and those who we integrate with. And we have a team that really just focuses purely on that particular area. And that I think goes back to the conversation or the question you asked of me, how do we differentiate? We integrate with the best of them, right? And so then the merchants have choice. Who do I want to integrate with and use as my payment provider? And in doing so, then it's like, how can I provide the best choice for my shoppers so that they can go from cart to checkout immediately, right? And if you think about it, e-commerce is just one big conversion engine. All you're doing is trying to get that top of funnel lead into a sale, right? And so the better that we integrate with those particular third parties and give our merchants choice in terms of what regionally, payment provider works best, I think that's where we're going to win.
Yeah. It must be kind of hard to not, from a UX perspective, especially, not just to kind of have preferences about, hey, listen, you're going to get a better experience if you choose this suite of collaboration tools or this suite for your business versus these dinosaurs over in the corner over here.
Yeah, exactly right. I think this is where the marketplace plays that role, right? And I think it filters the best of them to the top. And those who can't play, they can't play. They can't compete, right? And so that's where I think, it pushes the competition to be better.
Yeah.
And to provide
absolutely. I mean, the other day, I got an email from PayPal saying that money had been taken from my account, and I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah, okay, right. This is another one of those spam emails, okay. And I was like, well, I'm just going to check it just to make sure. And I have a PayPal account, but I don't really use it. And I logged in, and I clicked the little contact button down the bottom, and I was like, hey, listen, I got this email. Can you just authenticate if it's real or not? And they're like, did you mean to say that you are looking for support help on this? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I want to speak to a human. did you mean you want to speak to this department? I'm like, no, I didn't. I want to speak to a human about this problem that I'm having. And I spent about 5 minutes, and I took a screen grab of it where it started to, degrade in terms of my anger as it went through. And by the end of it, I was like, shut up, robot. I'm like, why am I even chatting to this robot anymore? But it just said so much about where PayPal has become. I mean, I couldn't even get hold of anyone. The email, I don't know if it was spam or not, it looked real. And the only way I could try and decipher the problem was there any money taken from my credit card? And I'm like, no, there wasn't. I said, okay, it must be a mistake. Never heard back from them, sent an email to support and stuff. Versus that, and I think Stripe is probably the equivalent. Stripe and PayPal they're both kind of doing something similar. With Stripe, I get a response within minutes from people when I message them. And it just goes so far. Like, I mean, that's the bit that I see as a big challenge for businesses like BigCommerce and like Shopify, wherever it is. That dependency on that selection process of your partners and who they choose will have an effect on how your brand is being perceived ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I feel like we're very clear about the choice there in the marketplace, and the scopes. And you're exactly right. One of the difficulties is if you integrate into our ecosystem and you just iframe your solution inside of our control panel, is that the best experience? Maybe not, right? And so there needs to be some evolution where it actually makes sense between the two solutions. And that's where I think that's the opportunity for us, right? How can we work with these partners who want to inject their value into our ecosystem and curate it, make it more usable for our merchants in all the various permutations of their workflow?
Okay. Well, look, I'm conscious that we said we're going to speak about 50/50 and your other business, like BigCommerce. Yeah. I'm going to throw a link to it in the show notes anyway, okay? Because from speaking to my brother, I was like, how's BigCommerce? He was like, it's brilliant. And he was at Shopify, by the way. He was with Shopify and he moved his business over to BigCommerce a couple of years ago. I'll put a link to it's good, isn't it? It'd be an awkward conversation if I said he was at BigCommerce and he moved out and doing. And Shopify have been great partners for This Is HCD. They were our sponsors for the last 12 months. So I'm not in any shape or form taking sides here, but I'll put a link to BigCommerce into the show notes as well for people to have a look at this tool as well, because it is super cool if you're looking to start a business, get online and sell pretty quickly. It's a pretty cool tool. Speaking of pretty cool tool, Royce's, InOrbit, you've been on a journey with this business for a while. Maybe tell us a little bit about where you're currently at with this startup.
Yeah, right now what we're doing is we are looking to launch our offering in late December. And one of the key things is this particular tool is all about helping facilitators and those who are trying to do asynchronous collaboration get a better outcome from their time. As we know in this particular geo-disposable, one of the most difficult things is trying to get FaceTime and get good results from the time that you're investing into workshops and or meetings. So hopefully our tool will be able to resolve any of those particular problems.
I'd love to have a look at this now. I'm on the website as we speak, folks, and it looks pretty interesting. There's a few players in this space, just one or two, I'm sure you're aware of. But
GTM Hub, OKR tools, Miro, all those.
Do you integrate with all of those, or do you compete with them?
Well, there are overlaps. So one of the key things is, Miro is a free-form, open, kind of a canvas collaboration tool, right? And one of the key things that we are trying to differentiate is we are structured with help with the actual asynchronous and reporting aspects of the collaboration piece. And I think that's where we can differentiate from them.
Okay. So I'm going to put a link to this one in the show notes as well, folks, because I know a number of people who I hold in the highest regard. Adam Lawrence and Renata Tugendrad, two good friends of mine. They're facilitation masters, as I call them. I'm sure they're cringing because I know they listen to the podcast when I say that. Whenever we looked at a number of tools, and we did an awful lot of facilitation, obviously during the pandemic, thousands and thousands of sessions. Okay, we went with Zoom. Okay, and then we had Mighty Networks, and then we had Slack for the business, and then we had WhatsApp for Friday evenings, like, you know, not doing that week again kind of conversations. And then there was another business, I'm not sure if you were, called Butter, which looks really cool as well. They're in Europe. So tell us how InOrbit integrates or kind of works from solving all that kind of distributed software problems, because it was very kind of hard to follow. I know, and then email as well was in there as well. So it's very hard to follow all of these conversations and create those rules about where the files were in Google Drive or Dropbox or, God forbid, Box or somewhere else. What does InOrbit do, and how does it solve those problems?
I think one of the key things that we found in facilitation is really just getting access to best practices and doing it as an activity, right? And you get templates, you get these, you know, you're able to drag it into, for example, a Canvas-like experience, and you fill in the box. But one of the key things is you're still largely dependent on reading and getting someone else to have done the pre-prep work to be able to go and contribute meaningfully.
True. Yeah.
And that's huge overhead for any facilitator. And also then when you're in the actual mode of running the workshop, you're encouraging people to come in, fill in their content, help them through the process of understanding what they're doing. And I think that's the real opportunity for us in InOrbit, which is we want to be able to kind of reduce the overhead of structuring a session, if you would. And in doing so, have all of the plethora of best practices that you would want to have access to in a specific, for example, if you're triaging what is your stack rank, or what's the hopes and fears of a project, and how can you guide the particular team? If nobody has done that before, having to be able to go and do the research and set that up takes a lot of time. And then in doing the actual workshop, whether you know whether you're on track or you're successful, that's also quite difficult to gauge. InOrbit solves that problem. We structure the session in a meaningful way. We give guidances throughout each step, and in all steps of in all of those particular experiences, you're able to go through it asynchronously and come back and reflect on the content.
Okay, so it's an asynchronous workshop, so it helps.
Exactly right.
It's an interesting proposition. And can you insert videos during that experience of say, hey, this is Royce in this section? So it's like a sort of a crossover between a on-demand learning and workshop facilitation. Is that right? I'm doing your proposition testing here for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Confirmed it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just nodding my head for those who are listening.
Yeah.
But yes, it's those particular. I can't say too much more. You're looking into our future state.
Okay. It's interesting. It's like usertesting.com in some ways, but for workshops, which is a really interesting space, because when we were working with, we had people in Australia, we had people in America working with us, and we had people in Europe. And we had that kind of experience of what time will we do this workshop at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when will you
have that at BigCommerce as well?
Yeah, exactly right. And one of the key things, the difficult things is how do I go through this template? Do I have to read through it? Where the session is, yeah, exactly. And then when you go through that process, it's a difficult one, right? And so I think InOrbit's solution is going to resolve that particular problem. It's going to give it a little bit more of a kick up the butt in terms of just delightful experiences on the UI and that kind of thing. And I think, with the integrations that you were talking about, it's going to make it even more useful and a little bit more, addictive.
So yeah, no one likes to be addicted, folks. Do you, when you look at the video engine, is this a place where people meet then if they wanted to do a live session, or is it just?
And I think we are looking at both. So if you're doing a live session, we have these things called workspaces where you're able to have your live sessions and scheduled. And in doing so, you will be able to go and say, here's a cadence of these type of workshops that I want to run for my team, versus this is a once-off that everybody can join immediately, and you have presence there. You can have your voting and your timers and all that kind of good stuff immersed. I think those are the things that are going to help us with, not only the usefulness of the tool when you're in a live situation versus, you've got a distributed team and you want to kind of empathize. so everybody can have asynchronous contribution. But the end state is really interesting. When you facilitate a workshop, there's a lot of data and information that comes out from those. And it's sometimes difficult to translate that from a canvas-like or a real-life board into a digital format that you can report and kind of think about. What we want to do is resolve that problem too, so that you'll be able to kind of compare your workshops or your sessions from one to the next.
One of the big things with workshops is the learning alongside other people. How has that been considered, and also what are the challenges around that? Because if it's asynchronous and you're the first person in versus the last person, and you're getting a different experience if that's being catered to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the key things that we're trying to introduce is this ability to do surveys at the end of it. And there's a builder function builder feature that we are looking to build as part of our next iteration. One of the key things that we found in our beta release of the product is that individuals really want to think about customizing their sessions to the vocabulary of the business, all the way through the values and the things that they call, like the teams that they refer to. And so that customization, that level of customization is really important. But what we've, I guess, concluded from that conversation is that if we created the builder option, they can take whatever baseline template or play that we've created, and they can make it their own. And I think this customization, this ability to kind of like introduce nuances, but also kind of put the opportunity or the edit and customization in the hands of those who are facilitation will make it a lot more, I guess, useful and in context.
Nice. Well, if people want to try it out, like I've been on the website here, and it says you can sign up for a beta. Is that is the beta open?
We will be updating in a couple of weeks, so look out for that particular launch. And once we have that up, everybody will be able to access it.
Well, I will put a link to InOrbit in the show notes, and people can put in their details there. And if they sign up to that, will you alert them then when the beta is open, they can get access to it? There's a couple of people here that I'd like to share that around to, so they can kind of play with it and maybe give you feedback. I think it's a super cool, an interesting space, especially as the world we find ourselves in now. We're doing hybrid stuff. So it's interesting to see where everything goes for you. So best of luck with that. Royce, is there anything else you want to chat about or give a shout out to before we wrap up the episode?
No, I really enjoyed this particular conversation. I think one of the key things I just want to add is for those who are thought leaders in the space and they want to be able to kind of create their own play and give access to everybody in terms of helping them facilitate a better outcome from the workshops, InOrbit is the place to be. And reach out, and we're always interested to hear.
Yeah, I'll put a link to your LinkedIn as well, because I'm sure people will maybe have questions and just want to, chat to you anyway, because it's interesting to have somebody who's, as I say, got two titles. It's not only that, but it must be kind of challenging because you've got two kids as well. There's a lot of twos in this. Balancing all of this stuff. How is that, and how do you manage staying sane?
I think one of the key things is compartmentalizing. I feel like I have a pretty good routine with my team at BigCommerce, and in the family side, I've got a beautiful wife who is very supportive, and we have a routine with the kids. Getting used to the long nights from 9 to 1 a.m. It's good too.
9 in the morning to 1 a.m. at night?
No, so from 9 at night to 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning.
For BigCommerce, is that the time you work?
InOrbit. Yeah, InOrbit. The reverse. Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty intense. So, how are you staying on top of like just getting time for yourself? And that's something that I'm learning about myself. How do you manage that, or do you manage it?
Well, I think I'm probably not managing as well as I should be. But I really love what I'm doing. I think InOrbit is an amazing space, an amazing problem, and an opportunity, and I'm putting my all and effort into it. And I think the thrills from seeing people using it and really connecting with it is making me energized and wanting to do more. So that's where I'm getting the energy from.
Okay. it's a good response. But look, Royce, again, thank you for giving me the time. I know it's your evening time, and in Sydney, it's probably cutting into some of your family time, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. But I'll throw a link to everything that we've spoken about here in the show notes. Thanks for giving me all this interesting insights for BigCommerce and InOrbit, and best of luck with everything.
Thanks, Gerry. Appreciate it.
And there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you enjoyed it and want to listen to more, why not visit thisishcd.com, where you can learn more about what we're up to and also explore our courses whilst you're there. Thanks again for listening.